I've always loved pushing the boundaries of technology. My apartment is a mess of wires, circuits, and custom-built devices. Tonight, I'm at my workbench, headphones on, trying to pick up distant radio waves. I hope to catch something unusual.
Suddenly a sharp piercing sound cut through the static. It was a signal unlike anything Ravi had ever heard before. Rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat, but with an underlying hum that sent chills down his spine.
The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I've never encountered a signal so strange, so alien. My instincts screamed at me to shut it down, to cut the connection. But curiosity, that insatiable hunger for the unknown, had a firm grip on me. I had to know more. I had to understand. The signal, once a faint whisper, grew in intensity. It was as if it had a life of its own, a sinister presence that was slowly but surely making itself known. It pulsed with an unnatural energy, worming its way into my equipment. The hum of the electronics grew louder, almost deafening, as if the devices were crying out in pain. My computer screen flickered erratically, displaying distorted images that made my head spin. Faces, places, and symbols I couldn't recognize flashed before my eyes, each more disturbing than the last. The lights in my apartment dimmed, then brightened, casting long dancing shadows on the walls. It felt like the room itself was alive, breathing in sync with the malevolent signal. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen force. It was as if the very atmosphere was thickening, pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe.
Fear gnawed at the edges of Ravi's mind, but he couldn't tear himself away. His eyes were glued to the screen, unable to look away from the chaos unfolding before him. He was trapped, both by the signal and his own insatiable curiosity. The more he watched, the deeper he was pulled into the digital abyss, unable to resist its dark allure.
My phone, lying on the table, suddenly sprang to life. The screen, which had been dark and lifeless, now glowed with an eerie light that matched the one on my computer. The screen, blank a moment ago, now pulsed with the same eerie glow as my computer. It was as if the signal had jumped from one device to another, spreading like a virus. The signal was spreading, infecting my devices, turning my sanctuary into a prison of unknown origin. Every screen in the room flickered and glowed, creating a symphony of digital chaos. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. My heart raced, pounding in my chest like a drum as the realization of my helplessness set in. I tried to unplug my equipment, to sever the connection, but my hands moved with a sluggishness that surprised me. It was as if my body was no longer under my control, responding to some unseen command. It was like an unseen force was holding me back, preventing me from breaking free. The more I struggled, the stronger the force became, tightening its grip on me, pulling me deeper into the digital nightmare. My heart, those eyes seemed to pierce through my very soul, exposing my deepest fears.
Ravi stumbled back from his workbench, knocking over a tray of tools with a clatter. The noise echoed in the silent room, but it did nothing to break the figure's gaze. The figure didn't move, didn't react to the sound. It was as if it was beyond the physical world, existing in a realm of its own. It simply stood there, its fiery gaze fixed on Ravi as if studying him, dissecting his every thought and fear. The intensity of its stare was almost unbearable. Ravi's face contorted in fear, his mind racing with questions. Was this real or some kind of twisted hallucination?
My mind raced. Was it real or a figment of my imagination? A trick played by the strange signal that had been plaguing us? Or was it something more sinister, a manifestation of the unknown forces we had unwittingly unleashed? The strange signal had been causing all sorts of anomalies, but this was beyond anything we had encountered. I didn't know, but a primal instinct screamed at me to run, to escape while I still could. Every fiber of my being urged me to flee from this malevolent presence. I turned and bolted, my heart pounding in my chest, desperate to put as much distance between myself and that terrifying figure as possible. Panic surged through Ravi. He scrambled back, knocking over his chair in his haste to get away. His eyes darted around the room, searching for an escape, for anything to use as a weapon against the shadowy horror that now stood between him and the door. He grabbed a heavy wrench, his knuckles white as he brandished it before him, a meager defense against the unknown. "Stay back!" Ravi shouted, his voice cracking with fear. The figure didn't flinch. It took a step forward, then another, its form solidifying with each movement, becoming more real, more menacing. Ravi knew, with a sinking feeling in his gut, that the wrench wouldn't be enough. Nothing could stop this, not anymore. He had opened a door to something he didn't understand, and now it was coming through.
The figure lunged. Ravi screamed, a primal sound of pure terror, as the shadow enveloped him. The wrench clattered to the floor. Forgotten, then silence. The room was still, the only sound the faint hum of electronics, now freed from the signal's grip. The shadowy figure was gone, vanished as quickly as it appeared, and so was Ravi. The apartment remained untouched, as if frozen in time from the moment of Ravi's disappearance. His half-eaten dinner still sat on the table, growing cold. The air hung heavy with the lingering scent of ozone and a strange metallic tang. Something terrible had happened here, but there was no one left to tell the tale. Days turned into weeks, and the mystery of Ravi's disappearance deepened. Friends and family were left in a state of perpetual anxiety, their lives overshadowed by the enigma that had swallowed him whole. The police found no signs of forced entry, no struggle, no clues to indicate what might have happened. It was as if Ravi had simply vanished into thin air, leaving behind a void that no one could fill. They chalked it up to another missing person case, a statistic in a city that had seen too many disappearances. The bustling metropolis, with its myriad of lights and shadows, had swallowed another soul. But the signal, that eerie, rhythmic pulse, remained. It was a haunting reminder of something beyond comprehension, a digital ghost that refused to be exorcised. It bounced from satellite to satellite, a phantom echo in the vast emptiness of space. Each transmission carried with it a fragment of a story, a piece of a puzzle that no one could solve. It was weaker now, a mere whisper of its former power, but it was still there, searching, waiting. The signal was patient. It had an eternity to find what it was looking for. It had waited eons, drifting through the cosmos, searching for a suitable host, a gateway into a new world. The vastness of space was its playground, and time was its ally. It had found one in Ravi, but its purpose remained unfulfilled. The connection had been severed too soon, leaving the signal yearning for completion. It needed to find a new host, a new conduit for its strange and terrible power. The search was relentless, driven by an ancient and unfathomable need, and it wouldn't be long before it found one. The signal was persistent, and in the shadows of the digital world it continued its hunt, ever watchful, ever waiting. Somewhere in a bustling city miles away from Ravi's empty apartment, a young woman sat at her computer browsing the internet. She was an aspiring programmer, eager to learn, to explore the digital world. As she clicked on a link, a strange file downloaded onto her computer, a file hidden within a seemingly innocent program. She didn't notice it at first, too engrossed in her work, but as she continued typing, a faint hum filled the air, and a cold shiver ran down her spine. The signal had found its new target.
The signal had found its new target.